Hello students, welcome to Boundless Maths, your trusted space for both maths and science. So in today's video, we are going to cover the last life process, that is excretion. If you have not watched the previous videos yet for nutrition and respiration and transportation, please go through them and then continue in this video for excretion. So before we start with excretion, let's have a quick relook into what we have learnt in the previous videos for nutrition, respiration and transportation. In nutrition, we talked about what is nutrition, what are the differences between autotrophs and heterotrophs, then what are the steps that are involved in the process of photosynthesis, and thereafter we talked about stomata and then the heterotrophic, different types of heterotrophic nutritions with examples. Again, these examples are very important from MCQ perspective. Then we talked about nutrition in unicellular organisms, amoeba and paramecium, and for multicellular we talked about we covered details of the human digestive system. So what are the different enzymes and what is the path followed by food? Digestion starts in the mouth and ends in the small intestine. Don't ever write large intestine, right? Next we also covered, now this digestion process, the entire process, I hope everyone has narrated like a story to your friend or maybe to your parents, because when you narrate it like a story and try to visualize the entire alimentary canal and what is happening here, where then it becomes easy to understand and learn. So next we covered the three pathways for breakdown of glucose. Part of respiration, difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration, and then we also talked about the ATP and ADP cycle. ATP gets broken down to ADP and phosphate ion, and then they are joined again by the energy released by mitochondria to again create ATP. Then we talked about the respiratory system in humans, difference between breathing and respiration, and how the ribs and the diaphragm, they behave during inhalation and exhalation. So again, after that we covered a few reasoning questions, respiration in plants and transportation. We talked about differences between arteries and veins, then certain keywords, pericardium and septum, and this is very important. Again, the schematic diagram of representation of the transport system is very important. This might look a little difficult to draw because of so many organs involved. You can always refer to your NCERT diagram also for drawing the schematic diagram, which is important. And the next important part is how to retain that, how to learn this transportation system. So we can just make a cross like this. Blood enters the heart through the auricles and goes out through the ventricles. So this is what we have already done in the transportation system. Then the entire flow of how the blood gets purified from heart, it goes to lungs and then back to heart and then pumps to the entire body parts, all the body parts. Then we even talked about blood pressure, systole and diastole. What does that mean? Double circulation and single circulation. What is sphygmomanometer? A device used to measure blood pressure. And then we talked about differences between lymph and blood. So if you have missed out any of these parts, go and watch the videos back. Again, the next video was on transportation in plants. So plants need to transport water and the food prepared by the plant. So both the things, the difference in the how the way transport of water works and how the transport of food works, we have seen the differences between both the processes. So this is transportation in plants, and now we are up to excretion. So if you have not watched any of these videos, please watch these videos. Try to understand and learn the content from the videos, listen to the videos, and if you want your copy of notes, you can visit the website www.boundlessmaths.com and get a copy of your notes. Thereby side by side listen to the videos and learn the content. Now let's start with excretion. What is excretion? Excretion is basically throwing out of the metabolic waste that is created in the cells as part of the digestion process. In the process of digestion, energy is released which is used by the body, but in addition to the energy, certain wastes are also released, like carbon dioxide, water and certain nitrogenous wastes. So carbon dioxide is thrown out of the body through the process of exhalation. Water and other nitrogenous wastes, they get into the bloodstream and they are transported to the kidneys for excretion. So the excretion, the word excretion means removal of harmful nitrogenous wastes. In unicellular organisms, again diffusion is sufficient. for the cell to expel out any unwanted waste materials. But in multicellular organisms, as we have seen, we have different organ systems. So we have excretory system that consists of a pair of kidneys, pair of ureters, urinary bladder and urethra. So these are the basic parts of the excretory system. Again, this diagram is very important. Draw it and practice it, label the diagram properly, understand the two kidneys, and this is renal artery. Wherever you have the word renal, renal is linked to kidneys. So this means it is related to kidneys. Renal artery, this is renal vein. So the renal artery actually brings in oxygenated blood to the kidneys, but it also has all the nitrogenous wastes dissolved in it. So the wastes are in the renal artery, but the renal vein that is going out and merging with the vena cava, this contains filtered blood. It does not have any waste, even though it is now deoxygenated, but this does not have any kind of waste. So wastes have already been filtered out by the kidney. So the urine filters out nitrogenous waste, which are mainly in the form of urea and uric acid. So these are the two main nitrogenous wastes that are thrown out of the body through urine, right? Now let's look at the structure of kidney. Inside the kidney there are millions of nephrons in every kidney. Both the kidneys have millions of nephrons. What is the function of the nephron? It is the basic filtering unit of the kidney. So if you look at this, this is the structure of a nephron where we have Bowman's capsule. Now the capillary network, a cluster of capillaries is encapsulated in this Bowman's capsule, and filtration takes place here for the first time. So this cluster of capillaries is called glomerulus network, and it filters out urine into the renal artery. Sorry, not in the renal artery, into this coiled nephron tube. So once this filtration is done in the Bowman's capsule, the filtrate, this is the initial filtrate, this travels through the coiled tube where reabsorption of certain substances takes place. What are the substances that are reabsorbed? Glucose, amino acids, salts and water. This is very, very important. What are the substances that are reabsorbed in this coiled tube? So this is the tubular part of the nephron where reabsorption takes place, and once reabsorption of these useful substances has taken place, the leftover waste comprising mainly of urea and uric acid and water, it moves to the collecting duct. Now this collecting duct collects the waste from all the nephrons of each of the kidneys, and this collecting duct eventually merges into the ureter, which passes the urine to the urinary bladder. So in the Bowman's capsule, what is happening? Filtration, initial filtration is happening, and in the coiled tube, what is happening? Selective reabsorption of these substances is happening, and eventually the urine gets collected in the collecting duct for each of the kidneys, and that merges into the ureter to pass it on to the urinary bladder, right? Now the amount of reabsorption that takes place in this coiled tube depends on the amount of hydration of the body and how much of dissolved salts need to be secreted. So depending on these two factors, how much water or these salts would be reabsorbed, it is taken care of. So if your body is not hydrated well enough, then lots of water will be reabsorbed. More water will be reabsorbed, and the concentration of urine will increase, and the color of the urine will be darker yellow, right? But if your body is well hydrated, now in that case, not too much water will be reabsorbed in this coiled tube. So that means the color of the urine is going to be pale yellow, right? So there are certain reasoning or assertion reason kind of questions related to this. So keep this in mind. Now if the kidneys of a person are not working, or the filtering unit is not working for any reason due to any infection or stone or any other reason, then this process of filtering or throwing out of the waste is done outside the body, and this process is called hemodialysis. So what is hemodialysis? It is the removal of nitrogenous waste from the blood using a dialysing solution. Now this process takes place outside the body. The blood is routed from the body, the blood is routed to a dialysing system where filtration takes place, and then the filtered out or the blood, after expelling all the waste, is redirected back into the body. So this, how this process is different from natural filtering that is happening in the kidneys is that in case of hemodialysis, there is no reabsorption of substances taking place. So that means lots of glucose, amino acids and salts that are really needed by the body, they are also lost during hemodialysis. That's why people who undergo hemodialysis, they feel very weak immediately after hemodialysis for few hours or maybe even 1 or 2 days, because the body loses good amount of amino acids, salts and glucose which are actually needed by the body, right? Another important point to take care here is, if 180 liters of initial filtrate that is created in the Bowman's capsule, if 180 liters of this initial filtrate is created, then out of this only 2 liters of urine is passed out, rest 178 liter is reabsorbed in this coiled tube. So you should remember this proportion. You can get a question where you are given out of 360 liters of initial filtrate, what will be the amount of urine produced. So 180, double of 180 is 360, that means the amount of urine produced is going to be double, that is 4 liters. Right? So this was about the excretory system in humans. Now let's have a look at excretion in plants. So the waste from plants are oxygen and carbon dioxide. These are expelled out through stomata. Water is lost through transpiration. Now there are many other plant wastes that are stored in vacuoles, and they are even released in the form of resins and gums, or the leaves, they fall off when too much of waste get accumulated in the leaves also shed off. Some wastes are also excreted into the soil. So that's it for excretion in plants. Not too much details are there for excretion in plants. And then the last thing that we have is organ donation. So while the person is alive, certain parts of our body can be donated to other people. For example, kidneys, liver, lungs and certain tissues. And after the death of the person, some more parts can also be donated, something like cornea, kidneys, heart, liver, pancreas, lungs and intestine and even bone marrow. So some people donate these parts of the body to other people after death also. After death means they write a will before they know they are about to die. So after the death of the person, these parts can be donated and used for some other person within 24 hours of the death, right? So this is all about organ donation. Now that's it for the entire life processes chapter. We have covered each of the processes in details in all these videos. So I'm sure you like these videos and they are helpful to you to retain the content. The content is there in NCERT for sure, but how to learn it is very important. So get your copy of science notes from the website www.boundlessmaths.com and subscribe to the YouTube channel Boundless Maths to keep getting notifications for more upcoming videos related to both maths and science. If you like the video, don't forget to press the like button and share the video with your friends. So keep learning, keep growing. Thank you.